Hi, my name's Phil. I'd like to talk about politics. So, next week, something is going to happen which could actually be the beginning of the end for Trump. Never mind Project 2025 and Trump's attempt to imprison political enemies. Trump is only ruling like a king right now because Republicans in Congress allow him to. They could stand up to him at any time, and surely would do if their fear of voters exceeded their fear of Trump. That could happen as early as next week. So what is happening? Well, there's a special election in Tennessee next week, what we would call a by-election in Britain. Should be a nailed-on win for the Republicans. In fact, so unremarkable is this election that according to the BBC, a lot of Republicans don't even know it's taking place. But the Democrats do. Kamala Harris had been down campaigning. The Democrats are pouring resources into this election after the anti-Trump wave of voting earlier this month, and then the polls showing various groups who had supported the orange one turning against him. The Dems smell blood. If they win this seat, that would panic Republicans. Remember that the Republicans never really embraced Trump. They just got caught up in the riptide because he brought electoral success. But that electoral success was based on promising working class people that a Republican government would do the opposite of what Republican governments actually do, because they believed that a greedy billionaire with zero history of philanthropy was concerned for the plight of struggling Americans. But they don't feel better off. I've said before, Trump made a mistake in saying recently that the economy was growing great guns and everything was better. A sounder strategy would probably have been to say everything was falling into place nicely and that the benefits would soon be very clear. By insisting that they're better right now, he exposes the lies. Trump has responded to the Republicans' panic and attempted to address cost of living issues, or affordability as they're calling it. I already talked recently about how he's capitulated on about 100 tariffs on various food and drink items to try to address soaring grocery prices. He's dangling the carrot of writing a lot of checks next year for $2,000 or $3,000, although no details about who gets it or when. I'm guessing people living in key swing districts and just before the midterms. Call me cynical if you will. Or maybe Trump will promise to send them only after the midterms and to those districts that vote Republican. But although Trump doesn't have to care about elections personally, he needs allies, and those allies need him to win their seats. This seat up for election next week, still likely to go Republican. Even after the wave of anti-Trump sentiment, it's still probably going to be won by the Republican candidate, Matt Van Epps. That's how strong it is. But therein lies the opportunity for the Democrats. It's so solidly Republican that the Republicans nationally aren't bothering with it. And the Democrats can afford to go hard and lose because it should be a losing battle. But if they win, if the seat flips blue, it would be nothing less than seismic. If the Democrats win this seat, it could only be because of rampant unpopularity with Trump's government. What will Republicans do then? This is like in Britain when the Tories started losing insanely safe seats in by-elections in the run-up to last year's general election. It made MPs worried about their own even smaller majorities pay careful attention to what their leader was up to. Of course, because they were mostly idiots, they made said leader do dumb shit and still lost those seats anyway. But what will congressional Republicans up for election next year think to a super safe seat, Republican seat in Tennessee, fall into the Democrats? They're certainly not going to think Trump is an electoral asset anymore. And if the BBC are right that many Republicans don't even know about the election, so unremarkable should it be, then losing it will come out of the blue like a bolt of lightning, enhancing their sense of panic. And all just before Christmas, when people will be going back home, talking to friends, families and voters to get a sense of what people are thinking right now, and they're not thinking that things are going well. We may not have to wait for the midterms to see if Congress will clip Trump's wings. Some Republicans may start to challenge him themselves before we get that far. Now, like I say, the Republicans are expected to win. Even now, you'd put your money on the Republicans. But there are three outcomes possible here. The first is that the Democrat candidate wins. That will send shockwaves through the GOP. They will sit up and take notice, and they will then pressure Trump to do something. That's where this blows up and gets very interesting. A second outcome is that the Republican candidate wins and wins comfortably. Business as usual, nobody will pay any attention. The third outcome is that the Republican candidate wins, but by an uncomfortably, very squeaky bum narrow margin. Now, how will Republicans react to that? A win's a win and forget about it? Or worry that if such a safe seat can even come close to being captured, that less secure ones are in real trouble, especially if the cost of living, or affordability, isn't eased in 2026. So it may be that the Democrats only really need to push the contest very close to panic Republicans into taking a more active role in what their government is doing instead of the very passive backseat driver role they're doing right now. Could be very interesting. Do you think Republicans will be taking stock towards the end of the year and deciding they need to take charge a bit more in 2026? Has Trump overreached with some of his projects, such as tariffs, squeezing too many voters for comfort? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please subscribe to the channel for more content. Click the bell notification icon so you know when the videos are out. Thanks for listening, and until next time, I'll see you later.